Good evening, you're watching AWANI Tonight with me, Hafiz Marzukhi. The increase in the sales and service tax SST rate from 6 to 8% takes effect today. However, it will not apply to certain services such as telecommunications, parking services, as well as food and beverages. The tax was expanded to cover more categories in a move the Finance Ministry said was aimed at streamlining taxation in the country. Among the services subject to the new tax rate are logistics, brokerage, underwriting and karaoke. It will also apply to electricity usage exceeding 600 kilowatt-hour per month, affecting around 15% of domestic consumers. The tax increase was announced during the tabling of Budget 2024 last year. It is expected to generate additional revenue of 3 billion ringgit for the government. Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim urges the Inland Revenue Board, or LHDN, to be more assertive in its tax collection duties. The Prime Minister says this is irrespective of the position of any company or the status of any individual.
Supaya jangan ada orang yang rasa kerana pengaruh mereka, kedudukan mereka, terlepas dari bayaran cukai. Ada ke tidak? Ada. Ada keperluan kita lebih tegas? Ya. Kerana kita tidak boleh bagi gambaran yang atas paling maha kaya itu terselamat daripada tindakan.
Anwar also said he hoped LHDN would collect more revenue than the projected 197 billion ringgit this year, noting that it had set a new record in tax collection of 183 billion ringgit in 2023. The refinement of Madani Medical Scheme is not intended to restrict patient access to medical care, but rather to ensure prudent use of resource. Health Minister Dato' Sri Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad says this is important to enhance the project's effectiveness and sustainability.
In a statement today, he said while healthcare efficiency in Health Ministry facilities significantly improves, the refinement of the scheme is now deemed necessary to pursue cost effectiveness. The program, facilitated by Protect Health Corporation, launched as a pilot project on June 15 last year, was aimed to ease patient congestion, particularly in green zones at emergency departments within Health Ministry hospitals. On Thursday, Zulkifli said the government's decision to refocus the Madani Medical Scheme on only 10 districts after taking into account the sustainability of the government's current financial funding. Zulkifli added that the selection of districts for the scheme implementation would also reflect equitable resource distribution without marginalizing the semi-rural states, including those in the East Coast, Northern and East Malaysia.
The Cabinet has reinstated an exemption to its Cabotage Policy to allow foreign vessels to repair undersea cables in its waters. In fact, according to Transport Minister Anthony Loke, the government is looking to make this move permanent.
And we have come to a conclusion that one of the most important policy changes as far as cabotage is concerned is to give exemption to undersea cable repair. Because this is very important for the IT companies, for the telcos, and we want to make this as a permanent policy. We will do everything necessary to ensure to them that there is a certainty in terms of this policy. So even though there was some sort of a reversal from exemption, then reverse, then back to exemption, but we want to assure them this is a very certain policy, and we will do everything possible to ensure that this policies remains and to attract more international investment into our not only undersea cable, but more importantly to attract more investment into data centers, not only in Semenanjung but as well as in Sabah Sarawak.
Cabotage rules regulate shipping activities in the country's waters. In 2020, the government under then Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin overturned an exemption which was just granted a year earlier that allowed foreign vessels to carry out submarine cable repairs and maintenance work.
Norway's King Harald will remain in the Langkawi Hospital for a few more days for treatment and rest before returning home, according to the royal household. The 87-year-old monarch was on a private holiday here when he fell ill with an infection earlier this week. The Norwegian government on Thursday had asked its military to handle the King's travel back to Norway. Medical evacuation airplane arrived in Langkawi on Friday after leaving Oslo the previous day. King Harald has been Norway's ceremonial head of state since 1991 and is Europe's oldest living monarch. Malaysia and Thailand can forge a stronger alliance in advocating for the Palestinian cause. Ladang Member of Parliament and also the leader of the Palestinian caucus in the Malaysian Parliament, Z Ibrahim emphasizes the potential for collaboration between the two countries on humanitarian grounds. Speaking on Thailand's stance towards humanitarian issues, Z Ibrahim highlighted the shared principles that all nations uphold, asserting his belief that Thailand also adheres to these fundamental values.
These are principles that any free country would hold on to, and I do believe that Thailand has that resource as well. So I believe that Thailand can play a bigger role if you go on the basis of having these basic principles as the key upholding principles. So as Thailand would be, also in our neighbors, Malaysia, Indonesia and others, I believe that we can work together and collaborate on the basis of these principles.
Z Ibrahim's remarks came in response to Thailand's decision to adopt a neutral stance following the conflict in Gaza. Despite Thailand's diplomatic relations with Israel, Z Ibrahim maintained that the country, like others, still places importance on fundamental human values such as dignity, freedom, and justice. We'll go for a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Malaysia has been actively fostering partnerships with leading education hubs globally, including the United Kingdom, to promote knowledge exchanges and build a robust education ecosystem. Country Director of British Council Malaysia, Jazreel Goh, talks about the role of youth in this partnership.
Youth is absolutely central to higher education collaborations. Now, for example, when UK or Malaysian institutions get together and collaborate, one of the things that usually happens is they create opportunities for students in both countries to be able to have mobility exchanges, and also that then builds a platform for long-term network. Now, this is essential because through such exchanges, students are able to understand cultural differences, be exposed to other people's culture, and more importantly, they build lasting networks. And that is actually the bedrock for future UK-Malaysia collaborations, whether it is in trade, in knowledge exchange. And I think in the long term, that's about prosperity for the world, peace, and mutual understanding and trust. So I think youth are really essential in terms of bridging cultural gaps between nations.
Meanwhile, Zaim Mozani, a UK alumnus, shared what else is needed to strengthen the UK and Malaysia education partnership.
As we move into 2024 and the 21st century, there needs to be a way for us to strengthen UK-Malaysia education relations beyond what Josu mentioned, about beyond research. And I think there are many areas. If you look at AI, there's a emerging collaboration between both UK and Malaysia entrepreneurs and governments. And I think this is where, we're looking at a concrete example. There's so much more that can be done in education and beyond, in translating research into tangible results for the economy, for society. and actually for the region. When Malaysia prospers and Southeast Asia also prospers as a result of that.
Foreign leaders, aid groups and rights organizations have expressed outrage over the killing of more than 100 Palestinians waiting to receive emergency food assistance in northern Gaza. Israel has blamed the deaths on crowds that surrounded the trucks, claiming that many of the dead were trampled or run over. In the incident early Thursday morning, hundreds of Palestinians gathered at a major roundabout to wait for desperately needed food aid. Israel's military say its tanks fired warning shots but did not strike the trucks. But witnesses say the victims were hit by direct artillery shelling, drone missiles and gunshots. The loss of civilian lives was the biggest in weeks. Reactions to the deaths have poured in from around the world. Leaders from the United Nations, Italy, Spain and France condemned the incident and demanded a ceasefire immediately. Turkey accused Israel of committing another crime against humanity, while Colombia's President Gustavo Petro denounced what he called a genocide of the Palestinian people and suspended purchases of weapons from Israel. Meanwhile, Hamas said the incident could jeopardize talks in Qatar aimed at securing a ceasefire, as well as the release of Israeli hostages it is holding. A New Zealand court has ordered victims of the 2019 White Island volcano disaster, which killed 22 people, to be paid compensation. The company that owns the island, Wakari Management Limited, and 4 other tour companies were ordered to pay over $6 million in damages.
The firm, along with White Island Tours, Volcanic Air Safaris, Kahu New Zealand and Areas, were found guilty last year of negligence and safety breaches. The court said they had failed to provide proper checks despite the volcano showing signs of heightened activity in the weeks leading up to the disaster. A total of 47 people were touring the volcano when it erupted in December 2019, killing nearly half the group and injuring everyone else. Most of those affected were international tourists from countries including Australia, the US and Malaysia. Tourism activities on White Island have not resumed since the eruption. Payments would be divided among the victims, with greater amounts to the families of the 22 people who were killed.
A new species of the world's largest snake, the anaconda, has been found in Ecuador's Amazon rainforest. Researchers say the snake, named the northern green anaconda, had split off from its closest relatives 10 million years ago, although they still look nearly identical today. The largest snake found by the team of researchers was a female anaconda that measured 6.3 meters long. It was previously thought that there was only one species of green anaconda in the wild, the Eunectes marinus. However, genetic analysis from anaconda samples in Ecuador's Amazon found that they were a separate species from the more widespread anacondas found across the Amazon basin. Although the two snakes are very similar visually, there is a 5.5% genetic difference between the species. Anacondas are infamous for their speed and ability to suffocate prey and swallow them whole. As apex predators, they play a vital ecological role in regulating prey populations such as fish, rodents and deer. Now that wraps up AWANI Tonight. I'm Hafiz Marzukhi. Thanks for watching and good night.